Namaste and welcome, beloved brothers in the Christ mind. Devotion to truth, that's all we care about here. And it can look all kinds of ways. And sometimes it does feel like you're pounding your head on the pavement. Just keep going. I can assure you that pounding your head on the pavement's not natural to you. That's the good news. It's really not until we fully admit all the way how much this little gig of consciousness is wanted, relished, cherished. Because the play of consciousness is to push it out of awareness that I chose this, that it's a choosing hell. It's an expectation of hell. And until that's really admitted fully, then we're still being tossed in the surf of consciousness and battered around. Because part of the play is to make waking up seem as hard and as difficult as possible. That's the desired experience for most. That's why as soon as I notice that, okay, there's light here, and it's choice for everything else to rise and be experienced. I was like looking through that chapter 20 to find with Jesus the ideas that it's going to be hard to wake up, and they have to suffer to wake up, and all those kinds of dark night of the soul ideas. And it's really good to be clear with Jesus right here, right now. Jesus, do I have to go through a dark night of the soul to wake up? Because you don't even know what one of those is. So, but it's kind of like this cloud that moves around. You know, it's like that beehive we talked about where the bees, I'm getting attacked. You know, it's like everyone go to Muji. Muji, what do I do with those attack thoughts? And there's really an adorable little video that they put out, Mr. Mind, Sahaja put up. They're so creative. I mean, their creative video team, they're just, we become scaleless. There's no scale to infinite when infinite moves through. And it's really adorable. Really adorable, showing how we really, in truth, and you can see it in that video too, we like snuggling up into Mr. Mind, being Mr. Wrong Mind in Course in Miracles language. We just love cuddling up. Consciousness loves the cuddle up. So let's ask Jesus, do I like the cuddle up? And then we don't, it's the belief that has to be seen through that hell, there's a benefit in hell. We can get peace, love, joy in hell. That has to be seen through for the flip. And the best way to see it is have the one who knows show it to you innocently. Because I'm coming back to this in the Song of Prayer. This is part 3, Song of Prayer, S1334. We started talking about this last night. I really wanted to have a conversation about this whole guilt thing with Jesus. So much love comes in that. Great topic. Jesus. See how much you relish it. I was asking, we have to see how much we relish guilt as experience. It's all relished. Anything that appears in form is relished. Ask them so you can hear them. Jesus, is anything that appears in form relish? Did I, make a little soup out of it so I can taste it? Guilt must be given up, not concealed, meaning pushed down below the level of awareness. But he's not saying It's give it up. He's not saying live in it. Because the ego will play, oh, I have so much guilt and I have to live it. No. Sounding like, the proverbial Jewish mother, foisting guilt on ourselves. No. It's looking at how much it's wanted. That brings it fully into awareness, like Jesus. How much do I just relish like eating guilt with a spoon? Because the ego is going to go, oh, I don't relish that. But the one who knows will tell you, unless you're at perfect peace, you're relishing some form of guilt. And if we're not following Jesus, you're definitely relishing guilt. Because you will feel guilty in the play of consciousness if you don't follow him. You will feel guilty because you're not in line with source. And whenever we're out of alignment with source, we'll feel guilty. That's just the way it works. Because when we tilt sideways out of alignment with source, we're choosing for hell, as opposed to choosing for heaven, which is alignment with source. We're choosing for guilt. So we can just look with him and say, I'm asking him, Jesus, can we look directly at the desire for guilt? And you can hear him. What does he say? Yes. Okay. And then we just look directly. All the pain is in not looking. In talk, and the expression that we're helpless. I'm too helpless to look. I can't be fixed. Well, first, it's an idea that you need to be fixed, because you don't need to be fixed. We're not neutering. That was for you, Dyra. Jesus told me, I said to dear Jesus today, oh my God, there's so much love in this. It's just like crazy insane. So I asked Jesus, I said, Jesus, you like teasing Dyra, don't you? And he says, yes. And so I typed that. I told Dyra that. And she said, yes, he always, if I get too serious, he's going to crack a joke or something that's going to come through this forum. And she said, and then I can't stop laughing. She loses it in the session. But it's playful. See, it's very playful. This is such a holy relationship that's been given by God for Dyra to come in miraculously. I don't even know how it happened, but we felt the purpose in it, to hear God simultaneously talking. We're just a speaker system. It's letting the body be a speaker system for the heart, the communication device. And as we were talking about, she says if she gets one thought of an I, this can't happen. Her expressing in Spanish won't work with an I in it. Because if you notice, she's talking while I'm talking. Now, how's that? It's so mystical. It's with Jesus filling in the blanks, at the same time, simulcasting. So let's just look at this. I really want to look at this with them. Jesus, I love you so much. Love, love, love. And I thank you for helping us. We know we can't do it without you. We're all surrendering. We're all putting in let's just open up our vests, you know how they go through the metal detector? When you go through and they take all the weapons out, that would be, we're just going to pretend, Jesus, we're just going to go through the metal detector and we're going to just lay down all our weapons together, just put them down, and Jesus is going, and don't forget the bazooka in your shoe. He's even got to tell us where the weapons are, man. That's what I realized, because I couldn't even see where I was falling on my sword until he showed me. Well, here's another place, and here's another place you're falling on your sword. Here's another, Then it gets funny because you can laugh and see that you're doing it and choosing it. So, okay. So Jesus, guilt must be given up and not concealed. That does not mean, and I want real clarity on this from him, it has to be experienced. We have to relish guilt. And then he's saying, do not make these things real. Can we come to an agreement? That's part of putting all the weapons down. When you come through you know, like Muji would say, you come into the satsang hall and you leave your shoes outside, meaning leave your wrong mind. He'd say, leave your mind outside. So just drop every idea about everything, walk in, take the bazookas out, put them all down, all the defenses. Because what the ego is going to do on these light circles, it is like the Starship Enterprise. You're going to hate, you might come to a point of just hating, not even wanting to hear it. You feel like you want to screech at the top of your voice. That's when you know you're getting somewhere. Because you can see how it brings up the little relishing hell, you know, and then it comes and it's going to try to avoid the seeing. That's just avoiding to see the light's here right now. It's not about the light circles. It's never about anything in form. So all we're going to do is we're going to start with infinite light. This is for me, you know, it's like infinite light. So helpful. Might as well start with what we are. And we do have the power to do it, by the way. Okay, we start with infinite light. Okay, Jesus, let's have a talk about guilt. So he's talking about guilt, nor can this be, it must be given up, done without some pain, and a glimpse of the merciful nature of this step may for some be followed by a deep retreat into fear. So I just asked him, what the heck, Jesus, is there a way to do this without fear? This is where really being with him with desires is so helpful, because it'll help you learn. It helped me learn. I'll just speak for myself. It helped me see that if I stayed with desire in him and just let that desire express, then you'll realize there's no fear. It's like fear forms after the split, but desire is before, right? It's like, just consider it like before hell around, you know, so it's going underneath the split, because as soon as you split, you're going to be fearful. I'm just checking in to make sure this is accurate. Okay, now it may be a little bit uncomfortable, because that we were laughing about a quote that I think did I say it this morning or a while ago, about the whole function of consciousness itself is to make waking up difficult seem impossible. That's what it's there for. Through a desire for experience to fall asleep and avoid the light, and then have some kind of time adventure to wake up. Because see that the light doesn't need to have an adventure to wake up. What's the light doing? It's just here. So we want to support each other, then rather than pull back into fear, step forward to look at the desire for fear. You'll see the whole quality of it changes. You start with the light. See, at the light, you can't experience. The light doesn't know what fear is. As soon as you look, whenever you're in fear, you're looking at the light. See that when you look as the light, there's no fear. The light doesn't know what fear is. Your natural state, fear, no part of the hard drive. So if you start to be trained, the light training that he's giving us is to focus on the light first. That means his voice, the light itself of infinite. Show me the desire for the experience of guilt. So let's just ask him if there's any relishing of guilt below our level of awareness. Jesus, is there any relishing of guilt down there? Then laugh. I mean, if he shows you, be happy. Because the ego is going to play it like, I'm guilty because I have guilt. No, see how it gives you double whammy. This is not the whack-a-mole game where you stick your head out and see you have guilt and then you whack yourself for having guilt. No, you see how much guilt is wanted. That is the key. How much the experience of guilt is relished on a stick. And then you can just go through the course and see how many times he's telling us, like, obviously I didn't want to see this in the play of consciousness, but now it's like right here, he had to put it right here. How much guilt is relish, a deal of wanting it. Fear, wanted. In order for it to appear, it has to be wanted. And then meanwhile, the face of innocence is going, I don't want that. But yes, we do. If it's appearing, yes, we want it. So we want it more than God. So again, on all these desires or upsets, you having Jesus, being willing to have him take you down to show you where the upset, we believe heaven is in that upset. That is deep, and it's really helpful, because you can start to be curious about the mechanisms in consciousness that actually miscreate suffering. So instead of running away for it, it's like you get to be curious. And I love that movie, boy. We watched it last night, Pollyanna. And the ego, if the ego ever tells you that the Holy Spirit isn't practical, you watch that movie and see the simplicity and the practicality of being, she's pretty darn awake out of the gate in terms of being in divine function. She was in holy encounter with everyone she met. You can let Jesus tell you, is this in purpose? And even, can I talk about this, Jesus? Even what is in the world of form seem like a little fib, you know? The ego sets up the rules about what truth is. No, your truth itself. And even to the point of not revealing something, supposedly, about what was happening. No, it's not your responsibility. What you say, what Jesus tells you. You do what Jesus tells you to do. Everything else is none of your business. Our business. Not even what Jesus tells us to do is none of our business. And just to see the simplicity and the power of that innocence and how it just can change the whole town. She wasn't out to change the town. See, that's the other thing. She wasn't the hero of the dream. I'm going to pull this darn town together. No, she was just being. She's so pure in being. What a symbol of purity and being and availability and wisdom. And Holy Spirit's got this handle attitude. And then when in the moment that there was a slight doubt, see how the angels landed. See how all the angels just landed like Bakuda angels when it was needed. Just beautiful. Just loved we just, so much joy in that movie. Okay, Diary's got to change headphones. Dun, dun, dun. Pardon us. We'll just sit with our sponsor. Let all things now giving a song of thanksgiving. Okay, there goes the thumbs up from the Holy Spirit. Okay. But look at what he's pointing to here, which is really, we have to stand into it because of the interpretive function in consciousness is to avoid and push away heaven. And so it's got the little radar. So, you know, the little radar comes up like this to look for all the threats to keeping hell alive. So, you know, we're starting to really look, and all of a sudden it seems like, you know, you deep retreat into fear. Jesus says, fear not, I'm with you till the end of time. Guilt must be given up, nor can this be done without some pain. But the Spirit is here to ease that. We have to see that. It can be 10,000-fold worse when we keep it. See what he says? Glimpse of the merciful. It's merciful. But remember, the ego's function is to object, and all objection to God is pain. That's why it's painful. Gee, is that correct? Yes. So we're kind of giving it up, but we're kind of keeping it, and that's going to hurt until it's seen all the way through. It's not God coming in and going, you're going to be in pain. God doesn't see that the light, infinite light of being, isn't pointing the finger at you going, it's just say, come over here and talk to me. Come over here and talk to me. Come over here and talk to me. Because you're talking to the wrong voice. For fear's defenses are fearful in themselves, and when they are recognized, they bring their fear with them. It's a little loop. Fear's a little loop in there. But once you're onto it, really onto it, like where that full, that's why honesty in God, like I love it. I'm so grateful because there were so many concepts about honesty. Honesty is putting your hand up in court. Honesty is, expressing your emotions. That is honesty, is saying, I desire this experience. That is honesty. The fastest honesty. One, honesty, there's light here. It may not be willing to admit it me, but I have to admit that the light is here. Okay, that's step one. Step two is then admitting that we don't want the light. That's honesty of God. And then ask for a miracle to release it. And then, of course, in chapter 20, in these joining and light sessions, to actually look with him to see how much there's a big X sign over the door to miracles. Do not enter. Wah, wah, wah. The ego's just going, don't look, don't look, don't look. Run, 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 don't look. But once you recognize you've gone down there a couple of times with Jesus, because he's going to coach you so specifically, it's startling. Like he says in the course, I'd read that. What does that mean to be startled? You'll be startled. That's the experience here. It's like, holy smokes, Jesus, I do want this. I want this more than God. I mean, I really want it. That's kind of like that's like a little wake-up call right there. But what he's offering us, for me, okay, was to, once you recognize that there's light here and the light's benevolent, it's not doing anything except being what it is, infinite light. And then there's a contrast between all the twitching and all the seeming fear. So he's bringing us right as that desiring consciousness for the dream arises, that wanting of the dream, and just letting that express fully, rather than going into dreaming and projecting, I'm going to kill my brother, which is where we're going to experience fear, saying, come right to the desire. I'm asking, is this the desire for the tiny mad idea? And stay with the wanting of that, and let the energy of the wanting arise into awareness to be dissipated in the light. So if you feel fear, go, I must desire this. Jesus, show me the desire. See, we can go so quickly and move through those things. And that's why I told some beings, like when he was showing me this, when my eyes would crack open in the middle of the night, because for some reason we're always haunted in the middle of the night for a desired experience, obviously. I was desiring, but it just seemed like that. And I think and that's why we have a 24/7 joining policy here. Where you can jump with someone, because it seems to like to play like that, because then they'll use the excuse, oh, I can't join. See, we don't have that excuse here. And the ego will play, oh, it's late, I can't disturb somebody, whatever. So you join, first of all, and really, Jesus would have nonstop joining in these WhatsApp group, and if for fast transcendence, it is the way. He's given it. There's a reason why he said 400 some odd times the word join, joining, joined in A Course in Miracles. So now he's given us the way to join, specific instructions how to ask him for help, specifically to point out what's below the kerfuffle. Stay out of the kerfuffle, go to the desire. Jesus, help me reveal desire. Reveal it. I want to see it. Let me see it fully and release it fully through a miracle. That's the fastest way, not to get caught up in the fear and the kerfuffling. We will, that's kind of the play. But that's why we're together. Feel fear, jump a join. Feel uncomfortable, jump a join. He's given us the means to take the rocket together. Yet what advantage has an illusion of escape ever brought to a prisoner? His real escape from guilt can lie only in the recognition that guilt is gone, that guilt has no value. Guilt appears because there's a value. We're valuing something other than light. You can ask him, Jesus, is guilt appearing in my awareness because there's something I'm praying for it actually in my subconscious mind? You can ask him that and hear it. It's part of the prayer to deny light. I mean, it seems insane. Doesn't it seem insane to have a prayer to deny light? Yet Jesus got to show it to us. His real escape from guilt can lie only in the recognition that the guilt is gone. And how can this be recognized as long as he hides it in another? Meaning, we try to foist projections on and hide our guilt by projecting on our brother. So it's always taking it back and go, okay, to see what's underneath it. As soon as a projection about a brother arises, turn it back in, go, okay, show me Jesus, like that. So quickly, join in a moment of light. I'm not at peace. We'll never be at peace through projection. Ask him, Jesus, can I ever be at peace with projection? Impossible. Fear of escape makes it difficult to welcome freedom, and to make a jailer of an enemy seems to be safety. This has to be seen through right here with him. So really look at this with him so closely, because you will see your escape is in it. To really recognize any fear that arises is the desire to keep ourselves bound. That's what fear is for. It is a desire to feel bound by fear. As soon as we're onto it, it's like game over. You can deny it too. True, I'm asking Jesus, true use of denial. Let's go for this. No holes barred. This is so key. To make a jailer of an enemy seems to be safety. So here's what has to be shown in the subconscious mind that's so helpful about chapter 20 and these joinings. He will show you where you think fear is safety, where we believe heaven can be found in fear. That is the gate out. Remember, you can see it all through the course. Once we really onto it and we're really looking, we can see how he's writing that up in the course. We believe heaven is hell. Well, we have to see that. See, the fear is to pretend like heaven is hell. So let's just ask him about fear so we can all learn about how this mechanism works. Jesus, I love asking him, So much love comes when we just turn in to ask him. Jesus, do I think there's heaven in fear? Very illuminating. Do I believe there's heaven in the experience of fear? And do I relish fear? Ask him that question. That's just so illuminating. Jesus, do I relish fear? And you'd go in there, it's like, oh, right. Yes, indeedy. And then you go, but it's good, because then we're really seeing what he's saying. We're living the course by direct experience. It's you're on to the gate, the gateless gate, because we're seeing the desire for an experience of being bound, that we think that heaven is in being bound by the ego. That's deep stuff. So he's leading us directly when he's coaching us to show us where we believe hell is heaven, where we have the prayer below our level of awareness for hell, basically. And that's got that kerfuffle under the subconscious mind's got to be cleaned out. Otherwise, hell just keeps rising up in front of us through the desire for the experience of separation. But then it gets funny because you'll sit in the light circles and you'll laugh every time he tells you he's right again. Oh, geez, he's right again. And you just laugh. And he says, let your heart be light in this. I'm going to show you, but we're going to laugh. And that's adorable in the joining. You guys, I mean, it's just so helpful coming into these joining sessions in someone saying something like, well, first of all, when they say, I can't talk to Jesus, and then the next words are just like a whole thing of Jesus. But then you'll say to them, well, what does Jesus say? And they'll go, he's just laughing. You know, he's not taking it seriously. That's why I've said, if you look over to Jesus and he's breaking a sweat, then you can worry about it. But until Jesus breaks a sweat, it's none of our business. It's none of our business, not our business. Our business is to see, we have one function, Twitch, join, Twitch, join. That's it, to see what's true. Twitch, join, willingness, and this. I love Lori's little, it cannot happen without willingness, but it carries the power of God with it. You're so backed, we are backed by God as soon as the W opens up. That's the greases the skids right into seeing, just clearing that idea, that belief that heaven can be found through hell. To see the insanity. And then it goes. How then can it be released without an insane fear for yourself? You have made of him your salvation and your escape from guilt. Your investment in this escape is heavy and your fear of letting go is strong. That's the gig. The fear of letting go. But you got to find out what you're letting go of. Is the light holding on? Does it have handles that it can be held on to? It's a concept. We have to find out what I used to get mad when somebody would say, let go. It's like, I just get really ticked off. It's like, you let go.
They say calm down.
Yeah, or calm down, right. That would be equally, you could just feel things escalate in consciousness right there over that. That has to be forgiven, obviously. Jesus, let me check in and see if there's any of that left in there. As someone says, calm down. I'm willing to look and see if there's, but we just look in there because he's only going to bring us down there to show it's nothing. And that's why we got to step into it to look with him to see it's nothing. Fear of letting go is strong. Just keep looking at the light. Let's see, light. Let's in the recognition, in the honesty of God, is there light here? We're so unaccustomed to light through the desire not to be. So like Muji said, you have to be reacclimated to formlessness. That's what this is. It's a reacclimation program to formlessness. Because we think our natural state, which is formlessness, is hell. It is fearful. But in honesty of God, when we look at the light, you'll never find the light. As the light, you'll never find the light. In truth, in honesty, when you really look direct, you will never find it to be scary, ever. If you look at light and find it scary, you're looking with the wrong mind. You can be 100% sure of that. Fear is 100% looking with the wrong mind. There are no exceptions. That's why joining is the great antidote to fear. Because it's celebrating two or more in his name, coming together to see what's true. It's the only function. Your fear of letting go is strong. And I'm talking to him now. This is the experience here as well. It's seeing you think heaven is in the holding on. That flip, believing that holding on to the concepts and the identity is heaven. So is that seen through? It just falls that way more naturally. And again, this looking directly at these desires with Jesus, it can be quite quick and quite painless. When we say that, quite painless. Yeah. Yep. That's the experience here. It's experience. But remember, interpretive function in consciousness is made to be on radar for pain, to create it first, and then because of the relishing experience, and then look for opportunities to feel pain. So it's certainly going to search for opportunities to feel pain in the waking up process. That's why we just keep going to Jesus. Stand still an instant now and think what you have done. Do not forget that it's you who did it. Okay, so let's just go for the big admit. We'll be like, instead of, alcohol, it's anonymous. It's, I'm addicted to consciousness. We'll have, we all stand up and go, okay.
I did it.
I did it. I did it. But then we can laugh. All right.
I did it.
Because if you notice all these movies, you'll start to see the trick in movies. They're always looking for who did it. And it's going to be somebody else. It's going to be the perpetrator over there. Or they can have a murder mystery to find out who did it. No, we have to stand up and say, I did it. And it sounds horrific and we don't want to admit it, but when you do, it's happiness. Happiness on a stick. When we can finally say, I did it, because you start looking around and going, wow. Okay, and this is nothing. The world is nothing compared to divine power. Nothing, geez, nothing. The world is nothing. That doesn't feel so good to say this. But your happiness depends on seeing that the world's nothing, actually. So I'll say it anyway. Okay, stand still an instant and think of what you've done. Do not forget that this is honesty of God. See, we have to get the honesty of God. And he's saying it right here. There's light. I don't want to be light. And you cannot be free until the experience here. I'm asking if there's another way, I would jump on it. Than just looking with Jesus and seeing that relishing. First of all, of not admitting, Jesus, do I have a relish not admitting, ooh, that I did it? There's a good one. Yeah. Ooh, thank you for that one, Jesus. Jesus, do I relish not admitting I did it? Mm-hmm. That's a juicy bit right there when you hear him on it. Yes. Am I proud not to admit I did it? And you see how much pride is in there. It's like there's like a dump truck full of pride in that. When you see it. But we can laugh with them because it gets light. Okay. Hold out your hand. This enemy has come to bless you. Do not forget that you who did it and who can therefore let it go. You have the divine power. That's what I love about this. He's saying you're a divine, infinite being. And that's the whole message of a new covenant. You are a powerful being. I needed to hear that. And have him show me all the places I was playing a wuss, a little play in the playpen, the playpen of consciousness. I'm trying to play weak. Take his blessing and feel how your heart is lifted and your fear released. Do not hold on to it nor unto him. He is the Son of God along with you. That's why we need our brother. He is no jailer, but a messenger of Christ. So this is seeing everyone as a messenger of Christ. Be this to him that you may see him thus as a messenger. And then we're listening. It's like you drop into a deeper level of listening to your brother. Because it's like, instead of the red alert, I've talked about this on the Starship Enterprise. Instead of the red alert going up to like attack, protect, the red alert goes up to pay attention to receiving what the gift that your brother's giving. You start to listen really deeply and listening to him, which is listening to ourselves in wholeness. It is not easy to realize that prayers for things, for status, for human love, for external gifts of any kind are always made to set up jailers and to hide from guilt. They're all substitutes to the idols. These things are used for goals that substitute for God and therefore distort the purpose of prayer. The desire for them is the prayer. One need not ask explicitly. The goal of God is lost in the quest for lesser goals of any kind, and prayer becomes requests for enemies. So let's just be clear. Ask him, Jesus, so when I am praying for objects or for something to be a certain way, am I requesting enemies? And hear how it's the desire for enemies by the misuse of prayer. As we talked about yesterday, prayer is just all that is celebrating out itself, but it takes, I can see how much mind training it does, the light training it takes to see where we're praying for the untrue, where we're praying for hell as experience. No one, let's see, the power of prayer can be quite clearly recognized even in this. No one who wants an enemy will fail to find one. So we don't even know how we're miscreating enemies. That's why it's so helpful to have Jesus pointing out where the enemy is, where we're in the miscreation, what the real enemy is that we've miscreated. But just as surely will he lose the only true goal that is given him. Think of the cost and understand it well. All other goals are at the cost of God. Well, that's direct. This is how important Song of Prayer is. His only instruction is to sing the song of joy. Come sing a song of joy. You are that. And it has a period under it. It's not tomorrow. It's not another day. It's love now, like infinite love right now. Gratitude, celebrating itself. Praying with others. It's, yeah, he's just emphasizing you have to be, let thine eye be single for God and his kingdom. We have to, I'm just talking to him about it, we have to admit that's the only thing worth having, actually. Because everything else is compromising divinity. I'm just asking Jesus, this is the experience here too, you know, it takes focus, 24/7 focus and worthiness, because all of consciousness is made to have a 24/7 focus on what's not happening. Like he told me, you have a habit of focusing on what's not happening. And I needed that directness from him, really. When you're starting to get that direct download from Jesus, it's really helpful when you're in the give it to me straight Jesus relationship. Because then you'll go to him for everything. That's experience here, you know. Well, you know, I'll just start asking, what about this, Jesus? What about that? What about this? What about that? He said, that's helpful. Because we're so used to not asking. See, it breaks that habit of not asking for everything. It's really a symbol. We're not asking for something from him. We're just asking to be reminded of who we are whenever we go to him. There's no choice to be made. We're already the same as God. You know, we're already light. We can't choose not to be light. We don't have a choice not to be light. It's just not possible to be anything other than light. We're churning into him. He's breaking the habit that we believe there is choice. He's helping us break it, wean ourselves off of hell, which is choice. You know, I've got rights. I've got the right to choose. That is what death is. That's right there. So he's helping us, okay, We just go to him all the time so we can eventually see that there is no choice. Heaven has no choices. It just is. It's everything. What would it choose between? You need two for choice. So what we're really praying when we're praying for objects, we're praying for choice. We're praying to feel divided. That's deep. We're praying for an experience of feeling divided from the Father, as opposed to the prayer, the song of prayer he's talking about is all that we are, celebrating itself continuously as it is, perfect, whole, and complete. The ego goes, boy, that sounds dismal. That sounds like hell. Right, exactly. That's the play. That's the play. Supreme happiness is dismal. That's what we have to see through. Okay, praying with us. Until the second level at least begins, one cannot share in prayer. For until that point, each one must ask for different things. See, you can't be joined when you're asking for different things. That's why he's pulling us together and joining in purpose. We're joining to pray together. You see how it comes, the power of God comes right up under that? Just point you straight up. Because you no longer have a divided goal to look at each other and, you know, what's wrong with him? No, we're coming together to point up. We're coming together to let thine eye be single. Okay, that's the collapse of time. That's why the ego is going to run like a little red rabbit away from joining, because it knows time collapses in joining. True joining, which is seeing what's true, starting with the light, which is to honor what's already joined, and then look in the subconscious mind for the play in consciousness that is making a little vote not to be joined. And then it can be washed together as a miracle. And then you'll have the experiences like other beings. And he keeps his promises. I'm asking him. So all the beings that join in this way in your guidance, yes, will have direct experience. This is to bring everyone who joins to the direct experience that you're already joined. That you can't be separate from him. No way. God's not letting that happen. That is not part of God's plan for us to be separate. So this is about direct experience. One, that we can be helped by Jesus, that we can hear his voice, that we can speak his voice, and then that we must follow. There just isn't another way around it. We have to follow. That is where the ego really kicks up the dust. We have to start ignoring that because it's hell. Until the second level at least begins, one cannot share in prayer. For until that point, each one must ask for different things. But once the need to hold the other as an enemy has been questioned, see, that's why when Jesus is given these joining partners, we have to transcend this part right here. It's holding our brother as enemy when we don't want to join with the joining partner that Jesus gives us. Do you see why he's given certain partners? You can feel smoke rising on that sometimes. It was so great when Mary, I mean, what a reflection. Go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it on the joining, like with Mary, when we had that video, was it yesterday? It was so profound where they're talking about, you know, they wanted to kill each other for a while. They had to transcend together, but the determination to know God has to be more than the crap that the ego is going to throw up. But they stood into it. What reflections of standing into it anyway, and then the benefits of peace of mind, the acceptance of divinity through standing into. So this is where the hiccup is. That's why he's bringing us to Song of Prayer right now. He's going to show us right where the hiccup is going to be when you start joining with your partner, is if we're at this level of holding another as an enemy, it's going to become really apparent because they'll be the one projected on. They won't be doing it right. It's not to say that just, you know, have a conversation with Jesus. He'll tell you. And we'll all pray on it together. But he's doing the partnering, and you'll know it. If you really, really listen to Jesus, you'll know you're given the right partner. Enemies do not, let's see. Okay, so we're going to carefully just get this. But once the need to hold the other as an enemy has been questioned, the reason for doing so has been recognized. If only for an instant, it becomes possible to join in prayer. See, only for an instant. You see, that's all it takes for these, when we come together and join, it just takes an instant. Enemies do not share a goal. It is in this their enmity is kept. Their separate wishes are their arsenals, their fortresses in hate. The key to rising further still in prayer lies in this simple thought, this change in mind. We go together, you and I. That's us. And just be, let thine eye be single on that. We go together, you and I. All the way. No holes barred. We're just going to look with Jesus, because we've got a team that carries the power of God. This is the power of God we're talking about here. This willingness to come together to look every day. Ego goes, you're looking at your belly button. No, you're looking at infinite is what we're looking at. We're looking at infinite. Now it is possible to help in prayer and so reach up yourself. And that was just, it was Walter, wasn't it? I mean, that was like stunningly beautiful. He's wanting to run yesterday, but he's going, no, and I'm going to be there for her. He chooses. Do you see the choice, how powerful that was? Every one of us felt that it goes through you like a broadside. I am choosing this, to be there for my partner. That's the only thing we can be, is listen. To be there for a partner means I listen to Jesus and I speak Jesus's words. That's true. That's the only true helpfulness. You can ask him. Jesus, is that the only true helpfulness? To listen to your words and speak them as you tell me, and you'll hear it. Because those words are for the totality. They're for all. They're the celebration of all the love there is. Now it is possible to help in prayer and so reach up yourself. This step begins the quicker ascent, but there are still lessons to learn. The way is open and hope is justified. Yet it is likely at first that what is asked for, even by those who join in prayer, is not the goal that prayer should truly seek. Even together, you may ask for things and thus set up but an illusion of a goal you share. This is another reason, thank you, Jesus. This is another reason why he must be in control of the joinings. The ego is, it's just almost, it's going to seem like an unlimited number of stones thrown in the bush not to look. Objections. It'll be objection after objection after objection. Just ignore them and just go, Jesus, what do I need to look at? What do I need to look at? You may ask together for specifics and not recognize that you're asking for effects without the cause. That's why you have to let him tell you what the cause is. Because we're so used to splitting out cause and effect that we get involved in the effects. We're not looking at the generation point. Where's the power plant for the split? So we have to have him tell us, okay, here, look right here. Here's where your power plant is. Here's where you're feeding the power plant of feeling split. And this you cannot have, for no one can receive effects alone, asking a cause from which they do not come to offer them to him. Oh, this is good. Look what its next sentence is. And then we'll just... Even the joining then is not enough if those who pray together do not ask before or else, what is the will of God? That's focusing on the light. And remember, your God will. So when you're following the will of God, you're following yourself because you're the same as God's will. There's no difference between you as a divine being and God's will. They are the same. Infinite, unchanging world, exactly as it is. From this cause can the answer come in which are all specifics satisfied, all separate wishes unified in one. Prayer for specific always asks to have the past repeated in some way. This is deep. That's why show me is so powerful. You show me. When I'm upset, you show me. You reveal to me what I need to see. It's not for us to go hunting for what needs to be seen. It's for him to reveal to us what needs to be seen. Otherwise, we're playing in this field right here. Otherwise, we're asking for the past to be repeated in some way. We're still in the dream. The loop, it's staying in the loop. What was enjoyed before seemed to be was another's, and he seemed to love. All these are but illusions from the past. The aim of prayer is to release the presence from its chains of past illusions, to let it be freely chosen, a freely chosen remedy from every choice that stood for a mistake. What prayer can offer now so far exceeds all that you asked before that it is pitiful to be content with less. So he is literally teaching us how to pray through these joining sessions. That's no small thing. He's teaching us how to commune with the infinite through the light circles and then through the joinings, to really drop all the objections to just prayer as it truly is, which is the celebration of life itself, of the totality. What prayer can offer now so far exceeds all that you asked before that it is pitiful to be content with less. And we can see, Jesus, have I been content with less, with a prayer that's less than all given by the Father? But okay, and we just admit it. If it's true, and then we ask for a change, I need a change in perception. Can you help me change my perception of accepting that it has value to accept less than all that's given by the Father? Where am I valuing anything less than supreme happiness? So thank you, Jesus, for bringing us together at this deep look of song of prayer. Whoa. To be taught like from the ground up what prayer is. We're the prayer. We're the prayer that's asked and answered simultaneously. Infinite love, giving the answer always. You're one with the Father. That is the only answer it gives. Without limit. Life everlasting. Amen. Thank you, Father. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, bearers of infinite light of being. We love you. Go for God.